Newcastle Crew, welcome back to the podcast. I am Lilith.
And I'm Phil.
Up for discussion today is issue number 38. First, the Saga of the Swamp Thing, continuing our Constantine journey. I like this issue a lot. Like, things are getting fleshed out very quickly in this arc. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of miss the structure from the last one, though. I thought that was a lot easier to follow. There's a lot happening.
Yeah, but I mean, did a lot really happen last issue? I mean, we learned about Swamp Thing's new ability and, you know, it kind of an intro, sort of, kind of, for John Constantine, but there really wasn't a lot of action.
Well, Swamp Thing's not really about action, and as a fan of Swamp Thing, like, that's something either you're okay with or you're not. But I think, like I said, I like the dialogue and the character interactions, and that's kind of just what Swamp Thing is about. But we also learned that there's, like, this ominous thing coming in a year. We get introduced to the characters that Constantine kind of brings in, and that's just kind of a lot to absorb, I guess, is why they chose that structure. Plus, you know, he was regrowing himself. But, like, this one, it's like people are saying goodbyes, and there's like boys just running all crazy. Yeah, it's just a lot. And there's like people with sharp teeth. Like, it's a mess.
You mean vampires?
This issue was creepy, right? Like, it was like something straight out of like a Friday the 13th movie for me, which is a good thing.
Well, yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
No, I liked it. Like I said, I think a lot more happened this issue than last issue. So those are vampires, right?
Yes, it is. The mother did not look like a mother. They should have made the mother thing look like Ursula from Little Mermaid. Instead of this weird alien blob.
Big beach ball.
It's like the face of Bo or something. I was just like, moisturize me. Hashtag Doctor Who reference. Sorry. Yeah, this was like a really weird, creepy kind of thing. I'm like, wait, what happened to last issue?
Well, I guess they had to get back to it because, I mean, technically isn't Swamp Thing a horror book?
It really is. But this one, for some reason, and it still like kind of creeps me out. I don't know why. I think it's like eggs. Things like laying eggs in you or something. It's just one of those things. Just creep me out, make my skin crawl.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they had to justify, Constantine working with Swamp Thing. So it's like, okay, we need a supernatural menace. So
yeah, sophisticated suspense. You gotta love that. And I'm just looking at the cover, and I'm just like, remember the days when it was like 75 cents?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I missed those days.
And hey, the very first issue of Swamp Thing was only 20 cents.
Oh,
Do you
man.
know what it's worth?
You ever...
in good condition on eBay?
Oh, I'm sure a lot more.
It's like, last time I checked, for like something as low as like a 7.4, it was like $368. So
I was gonna say it's probably a couple hundred. Yeah.
So if you collect the Swamp Thing and kept it in good condition and you need cash, there you go. Anyway, yeah, I just, this issue still creeps me out, so this just automatically is a good story because I feel like Swamp Thing always kind of holds up because it is a horror story.
Oh man, I can just imagine a young Lilith Hellfire hiding under the covers reading
with a
this.
flashlight. Seriously. Yeah, I don't know, like it was just kind of weird though, like the kids, and it was just like. That just freaked me out a little bit. I don't kind of over vampires too, so that's probably another reason. I was just like, oh yeah, this issue, that happened. I just kind of wanted more of Abby and Swamp Thing, I think.
Yeah, but it's like, once again,
you gotta get back to putting butts in the seats and the pages get to turning. And how do you do that? Vampires. It's always vampires.
Yeah. And I think, back in the day, I mean, before, they wrote for the graphic novels and stuff, I think you had to have a quicker pace to issues and stuff.
Very true. But, like, let's just talk about the best things. Just, like, Constantine just kind of walks away and goes, oh, well, good luck with that. Like, what? This guy is a douchebag.
It's like, why stick my neck out? Vampire stick my neck out. But so he's like, let me just point this big sodding creature.
The cover is just like, I don't know. This is something about Swamp Thing covers. Like I don't know if it's just because like they're from the 80s, but like they just don't really draw you in that often. They always just kind of look like, wait, is this a poster for a creature from the Blue Lagoon? I mean, they even homage that in like issue 25 of Swamp Thing with him and Abby when they were making up. So it's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, I guess. Oh god, I don't miss the 80s covers. But then again, I don't miss the 2015 everything has to have 5 variant covers either. So just be glad it wasn't a variant cover, I guess. Oh, but yeah, how did you like the horror element of it?
um, I liked it. I liked the dark, creepy tone, and like I said, once again, the way I always figure Swamp Thing is a horror book, so it seemed like a nice fit to me,
Mm-hmm.
especially because Constantine's there also.
Yeah. What did you think about the villain, the vampires and whatnot?
Uh, uh it just seems so creepy coming out of that lake or whatever, and then the friend goes back for his friend, and they grab him, and then like you were saying, very Friday the 13th esque.
I mean, they gave that one. They gave like that kid Nikki's blood tour, and I'm just like, what? These kids are messed up. So weird, so strange. Definitely. I don't know. I'm glad that they kind of downplayed Constantine in this one, honestly, because he made such a big splash in in the last issue, I guess.
Well, yeah, they're trying to preserve the mystery of who is John Constantine.
Yeah, it gets broken wide open shortly here. So,
Uh,
but yeah, like I said, it's this arc goes from issue 37 to issue 50. So, hold on to your hats, people. Uh, who did you relate to the most in this story?
um, hmm, who would I relate to the most? I think I don't know if maybe Swamp Thing is who you're supposed to relate to the most, just because he's your you discover he's your plot device to discover what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I was more curious about what Constantine was doing at that bar with Frank, honestly.
Yeah, and it's just like, what was up with him crushing the glass in his hand?
Right? So it's like I can't even concentrate on this right now, guys. He's up to something. Does he want
I
to
mean, I
become
guess
part of the Green? What is going on with this guy? And I did not trust Constantine at first at all.
I don't know if they're trying to show him, trying to make him seem like a tough guy with that, and it's just like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem like the Constantine we know now. He'd be like, I'm not messing up my hand.
He can magically fix it. It's okay. Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I was just like way too distrusting of Constantine, so I was just like really distracted. And then the vampires came out, and I was just like, oh right, those are a thing that exist in the DC folklore, in the mythology. Like we even have the actual Dracula in our lore. I know Marvel at one point did, but it got erased, right?
Uh,
He's like, I don't know. Why did you ask me, Lilith? I'm not Charlie.
they've well, no, they've brought him in and out. I mean, in the '70s they had Tomb of Dracula, and I think there was some kind of story. Was it early 2000s? It was somewhere in the 2000s, I think, where like I think he popped up. Well, I know early, like it was it '70s or '80s, he popped up in the X-Men, but then like in the 2000s, he popped up in X-Men again, and it just
Didn't they have that on the cartoon back in like the 90s X Men? I feel like, no, was it Spider Man? Somebody met Dracula. It was one of the two. It was either Spider Man or X Men.
that sounds familiar now, but I can't place it now.
Or maybe it was when he met Blade in that show and they were tracking down Dracula or something, is what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah. If you know what episode I'm talking about, send it to me so I can watch it without having to go through all my DVDs. Anyway, yeah, I liked getting back to the creep factor, but I was just bummed that it was vampires basically. But it was still a good, strong story. Your curiosity is very much piqued about Constantine, and it's always great to have like an homage to a classic like slasher flick. I think,
Mm-hmm.
especially if your vibe is horror, so can't go wrong with that.
But you know what just hit me? I was like, you know what could explain any inconsistencies with Constantine? It could be like, oh, they got changed by the Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Well, yeah, but not really though.
Not really, no, but like any little thing you see that's sort of like, well, that really isn't Constantine anymore. But
Yeah. I mean, and a character has to grow and evolve as well. And I will say,
yeah,
I feel like the point of Constantine is that he did, by the end of this original book run, he did really grow a lot, and he learned a lot, and it changed him for the better. But in true Constantine fashion, he couldn't like outwardly show it 100%. And I like that they kind of left it ambiguous like that.
mm-hmm.
We'll get there eventually, hopefully. Anyway, what would you give this book?
Um, hmm. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it might be another 4. I like I said, I really dug the horror element with the vampires. I think, like I said, I think things moved along a lot quicker than they did in Constantine's first appearance.
I can go with a 3.75. Like I said, this reading particularly, I was like, oh yeah, vampires, right? That was like the only thing. But like I said, everything else that I said about the aesthetic with, you know, um, the horror vibe and everything, and the dialogue, and keeping Constantine mysterious and not giving away too much. It was really good, and yeah. So that's it. Oh, what was your favorite panel?
Uh, hmm. Favorite panel. Mm, it could be. You would think it'd be one of the vampire panels, but towards the end, page 21, where Swamp Thing just grabs Constantine and he's like, you're evading my questions, and that's all dangerous and all this. It just screams Constantine again. It screams Constantine to me because it's like, well, yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, that's what I do. I think my favorite one is actually when we get the title page, with the still waters on it, and it's murky and it kind of looks like mermen gone mad. I don't know, like they still just had a flair for it. Like nowadays, it just has like all these boxes, and they don't try that hard really, and they're like start to tell the story instead of like really preparing you for the story. They just jump in usually with these title pages nowadays. So I guess out of
Mm-hmm.
nostalgia, I just really appreciate that it's just really clean, and it just like helps you go, okay, what could this be about? Get you to theorizing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I miss that.
Yeah, I see that. I think that from time to time too. That it just seems like the writing style and just the way they set the books up is different now than it was back in the day.
Yeah, you were allowed to like kind of meander and indulge in the art of it. Nowadays,
Yes.
it's like, all right, get to the story. Come on, and don't forget, don't tell them where this falls in the continuity. That's a no no. Oh, anyway. So yeah, time for shameless plugs.
All right. Well, for me, you can always contact me about anything Marvel or DC. NightwingPDP at gmail.com, and on Twitter, I'm at NightwingPDP.
As for me, you guys can find me at Lilith Hellfire over on Twitter, lilithhellfire.tumblr.com if you have Tumblr, and my website, lilithhellfire.com. Easy branding, right, guys? As for this podcast, you can find us on Twitter, Philip.
On Twitter, you can find us at Newcastle Crew,
We are on
and
Facebook.
on
Sorry.
sorry.
I'll just do the the social media, you can just do the actual thingy. How about that? So on Facebook, you can find us at
Newcastle Crew Podcast.
And our email is
newcastlecrew@gmail.com.
Those are all the ways to get a hold of us. We look forward to hearing from you guys. Don't forget, if you like the Facebook, don't forget to stop by and leave a comment. Or if you see an article that you like, share, comment. And you can also direct messages right on Facebook without the use of pesky old email. Right? Email is becoming pretty archaic at this point, right? So anyway, this has been Lilith
and Phil,
the Newcastle Crew. If you want to join our conversation on Twitter, please don't forget to use the hashtags Newcastle Crew and or Constant One, capital C, capital O. Until next week. Remember to always wait at least 20 minutes after eating before going swimming, and be sure to check the water because you never know what's down there.